The new economy is changing, and this time it's going to be a lot different than what we've seen in the past. We've seen previous recessions, housing market crashes, stock market crashes, and economic collapse in other countries, other currencies. We've been seeing bank accounts being preemptively shut down by large national banks based on being deemed as being high risk. SNAP EBT benefits outages that we've seen over the past month. We've been seeing a number of different, I won't say unusual circumstances, and they're not unusual because we've seen them before, and we're going to see them again. We're going to continue to see them as we move into this next phase, the evolution of the Great Reset. And not only is the Fed, Fed Chair Jerome Powell raising interest rates, fighting inflation, but what we're seeing today is it's an evolution of the economy, and the economy participants are me and you. The economy participants are businesses. The economy participants is the lower middle class. It's the lower income. It's the middle income. It's the wealthy income classes. It's the CEOs of large mega corporations. We're seeing layoffs. We've heard from Redfin, massive layoffs coming. We've heard from Shopify, massive layoffs coming. We've heard from the likes of Walmart and FedEx recently. FedEx recently indicated that they're expecting a sharp decline in their demand for their services. Now, what does FedEx do? Well, obviously FedEx delivers packages, and if packages don't need to be delivered, that means that they're anticipating that packages or products won't be purchased, or at least certainly not to the volume or to the extent that they had expected or previously saw in previous quarters. So FedEx stock took a massive hit, 25% decline on the S&P 500 last week once this news broke from the FedEx CEO. In response to that, we've seen a number of different partner companies or companies that are adjacent to FedEx releasing similar outlooks, and even companies that have not released similar outlooks. Investors of these companies, investors of these particular stocks, they're seeking refuge. They're selling out of these stocks because they understand that if FedEx is predicting this, if FedEx is seeing this, what else in my investment portfolio is going to get hit? Now, here's another thing. How many of you guys shop in Walmart? How many of you guys shop in Dollar Tree? Comment down below if you shop in the Dollar General. The demographics are absolutely changing, and it's astounding to watch. And what we're seeing is that, in previous recessions, in previous housing market crashes, the average person didn't see what was coming. The average person was a participant in the economy, and the economy essentially hit them in the face. And it was like, whoa, what just happened? How many of you guys remember 2008? A lot of people did not expect what we saw in terms of the economic collapse, multiple S&P 500 companies completely going bankrupt. And if it wasn't for the Federal Reserve stepping in, as well as a number of entrepreneurial investors kind of bailing out multiple too big to fail firms, one of which was Warren Buffett, by the way. I don't know if you guys remember, Warren Buffett actually ended up bailing out Bank of America. That was quite interesting to watch. In fact, I was a trader. I was literally just trading all day for like 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, trading the stock market. And this was a time when Bank of America shares were trading for around, they were trading for as low as $2 a share, if I remember correctly. And I was trading all day long. Unbelievable. But it was a painful time, but it was also a time of awakening. It was a time of awakening for me, for a lot of different people. But let's talk about this new demographic that we're seeing entering the market. Now, I've been driving by, I've been seeing a number of used cars for sale. This used car market, the housing market, everything's changing. And we saw bidding wars before for houses. We're not seeing bidding wars anymore. In fact, we may even start to see housing price declines. We're definitely seeing mortgage applications decline, but I'm seeing luxury cars being sold at smaller buy here, pay here dealerships that you normally wouldn't see these types of cars at. I'm talking about your high level, your luxury BMWs, newer model BMWs, luxury SUVs, Range Rovers, Range Rover SVRs. I saw Lamborghini Huracan the other day at a dealership that normally wouldn't carry that type of car. I had to just stop by because, in my area, you don't see that many Lamborghini Huracans or any other type of exotic luxury sports cars. And I talked to the dealer, and the dealer said, "Hey, people are bailing." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, I had a client come in, and they literally just were driving around to dealerships, shopping the market, trying to offload their luxury sports cars." In this case, it was a luxury sports car, but we've seen the luxury SUVs, the Range Rovers, the Lexus GX 460. We've seen a number of different luxury items that people were purchasing when times were good. Financially, they were doing well, income was higher, or at least the financial prospect of the future was brighter. And so, I think it's a little bit too early to call what's happening here. But what I think might be happening is that since everyone and their mom is talking about this housing market changing, and you've got social media and the evolution of the internet sharing information much more quickly, that the economy is nothing. I know the economy sounds like some vague, abstract thing, but the economy is nothing more than it's participants like me and you, people who purchase goods, sell goods, companies that purchase goods from other companies and sell goods to other companies, business to business. Some companies sell products to retail purchasers, and those are, business to consumer. Well, it seems as though the economy is evolving, meaning the participants. We're seeing people selling their cars, selling their luxury items. I've seen Rolex Submariner listings just flooding the market on eBay, on not so much Craigslist, but a number of different used watch resellers are all of a sudden carrying a lot more of these used Rolex watches. And it makes you wonder what is going on. And I've talked to a number of different people, including the dealership that is carrying this, this trade-in of a luxury sports car that they normally wouldn't carry. And he said that they're trying to shore up cash. They're preparing for what is headed our way. Now, whatever that might be, but they're preparing financially for a potential economic collapse. But this time they want to sell off before the market completely crashes. And so that way they can recoup as much cash as they can of their luxury vehicles, of their luxury watches. And in addition to that, we're seeing a big shift in where some of these higher income economic participants are spending their money. And, when I say higher end, people who make, let's just say, $100,000 and up. Now, there was a time when $100,000 a year was a tremendous amount of money, and it really still is today. $100,000 a year in income is a tremendous amount of money. I mean, heck, $100,000 period is still a lot of money. Obviously, if you're a billionaire like Warren Buffett or, Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, $100,000 isn't spit. But point is, for the average person like me and you, $100,000 is a big freaking deal. If I stumbled across $100,000, it would be a very, very good day for me. And I'm pretty sure if $100,000 just fell into your lap today or tomorrow, you guys would be just completely cheesing. So $100,000 is a big deal. But the problem is that because of inflation, because of record high inflation, CPI numbers, core index inflation, whatever economic inflation number you want to look at, inflation is tremendously higher than we've ever seen it, or at least not in the last 40 years. And so when I say $100,000 isn't as much as it used to be. What I mean is that $100,000 doesn't buy you as much as it used to. But the problem is that $100,000 is still a lot of money. Like, it still requires a lot of time and a lot of effort for the average person to earn $100,000, let alone save $100,000. I mean, have you ever thought about how much effort it would take and how much of a surplus of income you would need, whether you're investing or you've got a side hustle or a small business on the side? If you're doing some type of, if you've got an online business assisting you in your income generation process, think about how much more money you need to earn to cover your expenses, cover the taxes that will be due, and also allow you to have a surplus of capital in order to be able to save $100,000, right? So it's not easy. It's not easy. But the problem is that everything is so much more expensive today. You go in the grocery store, Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, BJ's, Wholesale Club, everything is tremendously more expensive. I don't do most of the grocery shopping. My wife does most of that. She was telling me how much more eggs cost. She was showing me old receipts from a year and a half ago that are kind of faded. You can barely make out the numbers, but she was comparing old receipts to today, and it's just unbelievable. We could look at an old Walmart receipt and we can see how much everything was exactly from, 18 months ago. And it's just ridiculous how much more everything has become. Now, what makes it worse is that we see inflation in asset. We've been seeing asset appreciation, like unbelievable asset appreciation. Just look at the housing market. And I would say look at the stock market, but the stock market has retreated quite a bit. We've probably seen roughly a 15 to 20% pullback in the stock market. But housing appreciation, that particular asset has appreciated way faster than incomes have gone up. Incomes have not increased to be in rate, the rate of appreciation has exceeded the rate of the average person's income increasing. And so it's just everything has become significantly more expensive. And so with that being said, more and more people earning $100,000 a year in income are they're preparing for what is happening. Could this be this could potentially be one of the largest deleveraging combination of acts across the economy that we've ever seen. And the reason is a lot of people got burned back in 2008 during the 2008 recession. And a lot of those people lost out. They lost their homes, they lost their cars, repossessions. I mean, heck, we're even seeing an uptick in used car repossessions today. Now, we're not seeing any type of tremendous uptick in foreclosures, but foreclosures are ticking up. But this is more so because of the mortgage moratoriums that are expiring. Mortgage moratoriums are expiring and people are losing the get out of jail free card to allow them to kind of skip out on mortgage payments. And there are some people who have not found their footing yet and they can't afford to pay for where they live. But there's other people who found their footing and got comfortable not making a mortgage payment, and they just literally just blew their income. Instead of saving money, they blew their income. Now the mortgage payment's due, their budget's out of whack, and they're about to lose their house. So there's that. But more and more people earning $100,000 or more, they're looking for ways to cost cut. They're looking for ways to save money. And despite facing record high inflation over the past year, the U.S. consumer really hasn't stopped spending. And, so far, this has pretty much served as a pillar against the threat of a recession. And this has also impacted the stock market. Now, this doesn't mean that, however, this doesn't mean that the consumer behavior has been unchanged completely since the economy began to recover last year from the lockdown. It actually turns out that more shoppers are looking to save money. But this demographic that I'm talking about is the higher income earning demographic. It's the upper middle class income. It is the borderline wealthy income. And last week, the CEO of the Dollar General said that the company is experiencing an influx of high income shoppers. Now, this really comes as a shock because while we have seen layoffs from a multitude of companies, the layoffs are not quite widespread yet. And, according to Fed Chair Jerome Powell, the unemployment rate will continue to increase and things will get significantly worse. We're at the very onset of this economic shift. So things are going to get a lot worse. And this is why I always talk to my community about preparing, because things are changing and they're not going to be changing for the better for a while. It's going to get a lot more painful, and economic preparation is going to be paramount for survival. So and what we're hearing is that the highest trade-in that we've seen and the most robust has actually been between the $75,000 and $100,000 per year income group. And this is actually coming from the CEO of the Dollar Tree, or I should say the Dollar General. I always get those two companies confused. I think Dollar Tree is green and white, and I think the Dollar General is yellow and black. But anyway, so Dollar General, they basically have shared some of this demographic information about the new type of customers that they're seeing in their retail chains. And also, the retail chain isn't the only discounter that's seeing a recent uptick in spending from the higher income consumers. Just last month, Walmart reported a surprisingly very positive earning report, and earlier forecasts suggested that their pandemic supply chain problems would probably continue to impact sales. But instead, the company's second quarter sales rose 8.5%. Now, this is actually very close to the rate of inflation. So Walmart is actually seemingly getting ahead of inflation. Now, is this an opportunity to invest in Walmart stock or plunk some cash into that particular stock market opportunity? That remains to be seen. And none of this is financial advice, guys. But Walmart CEO Doug McMillon, he said on CNBC's Squawk on the Street that a significant portion of those sales came from wealthier families. Now, I would love to know exactly how they know who's spending money. Like, how does Walmart know the incomes of their shoppers? Maybe they have some way of tracking, whenever you're doing like this, the self-checkout, they're looking at your credit card, and, maybe based on the type of credit card you use, whether it's an American Express, maybe an American Express business card, maybe an American Express Blue, a Visa MasterCard from Bank of America, maybe not a Visa MasterCard, a Visa credit card from Bank of America. That's just kind of a low level, no frills, basic credit card. Or maybe they're looking at the type of credit cards that are secured. What is it? Unsecured credit cards versus secured credit cards, whether it's Visa or MasterCard, Discover, whatever the case is. Maybe they're able to somehow extrapolate the income level that would be required to qualify for those types of credit cards, maybe the type of credit score that would be needed. And maybe they can kind of generalize what kind of income would likely be of the credit card owner. I'll have to dig into that to find out for sure, but that's kind of an interesting one. But anyway, people are really price focused now, and regardless of their income level, who knows how long this is going to last, but they're seeing that this is the case. So before the wealthy is forced to make economic changes, they're making the changes preemptively. Now, this shift in the spending to discount retailers could signal trouble ahead for the wider U.S. economy. Bank of America, in a recent research report released last month, that the food retailers, they typically do very well during periods of high inflation, and that Walmart in particular outperformed the S&P 500 during the last 5 recessions. So, many of you guys have reached out to me saying, hey, you want to start investing in the stock market? You wanted to generate some form of passive income. Well, according to Bank of America, Walmart outperformed the stock market 5 times in the last 5 recessions. So, there is that. Now, I'm not endorsing Walmart as a stock investment to make. That's absolutely your call. This is not financial advice. But inflation rose 0.1% between July and August, at least according to the most recent Consumer Price Index report. from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and 8.3% year over year. So what this tells me is that we're seeing more and more wealthy individuals coming down to shop at the stores, and they're hitting the shelves that the lower income Americans would normally buy from. Wealthy companies or wealthy people, wealthy households are now buying from the places that lower middle class families would normally buy from. Why is this a problem? This becomes a problem because as the wealthy is trying to protect themselves, as they're preparing for what is coming, the wealthy are purchasing the supplies that are available, the inventory that is available, the food types, the food brands, the types of foods in the foods, grocery stores and the retail chains that lower income families would normally buy from. So why is this a problem? Well, the wealthy, they're securing their position. They're making sure that they don't lose money again. They're making sure that no matter how bad shit hits the fan, they want to make sure that they survive this thing. And so what they're doing is they're now reducing the supply. They're reducing the available inventory that would normally be available for lower income families. And the problem with this is this can create shortages of the inventory that lower income families would normally purchase. This not only shortages of the inventory, shortages of those types of food, shortages of those brands of food. I mean, think about it. I believe WIC will only WIC, EBT, food stamps, SNAP benefits will. I think they may actually prevent you from purchasing certain brands, or maybe there's only certain brands that you can purchase. If you have EBT, SNAP, food stamps benefits, comment down below. Let me know what the restrictions are when it comes to purchasing food. I'm under the impression that certain brands are approved, or maybe some brands you can't buy. I don't really know how that works, but whatever the case is, if there's an increase in demand for the type of products that lower income families purchase from, then that is not only going to create shortages of those inventories, but it's also going to drive up the prices because the demand has increased and the supply has not. So this creates a brand new problem. And again, as they say, crap rolls downhill, and who's at the bottom of the hill? Well, it's the lower middle class Americans. So I just wanted to kind of share this information with you guys, just some thoughts that are on my mind. I hope my community continues to prepare, continues to share good, helpful information in the comments. I read so many of you guys' comments in my videos, and they're extremely helpful for not only me for being able to share future content with you, but they're also very helpful for others who are reading the comments, trying to obtain new information so that they and their families can properly prepare. So anyway, guys, I hope you got some value out of this video. I look forward to hearing from you guys on the next one. Drop a like for the video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one.